everybody. Today we are in Scottsdale, Arizona. I'm very happy to have Mr. Marketing Dan Tyre with us today. We're going to talk about inbound marketing and actually inbound sales. So thank you, Dan, for coming. It's amazing to have you here today. And yeah, let's talk about inbound sales. But first of all, would you tell a little bit about yourself, your background?
I'm happy to. Always happy to have people from Helsinki sitting on my couch. And so my name is Dan Tyre. I have a 30-year background in sales, marketing, and general business. Right. I've been highly successful with 5 previous startups. Right. My first one went to $1.5 billion. My second one was bought out by Microsoft. My third one went bankrupt. My fourth one got bought out by Microsoft, and Hubspot's my fifth. And so I'm very vested in the startup mentality. I've been with HubSpot for 9 years. Right? I was essentially the first BDR, the first salesperson for HubSpot, and have been thrilled with the growth of inbound marketing over the last 9 years, and now the emergence of inbound sales as a way to transform branding and the way companies can engage with their prospects and customers.
Oh, yeah. Your story is amazing. It's unbelievable.
Oh, thank you very much.
So let's talk about inbound sales. So people who don't really get the word inbound sales, how would you describe it?
Yeah, so inbound marketing is about attracting people to your website with education and with information and knowledge that makes it easier for them to solve their problems. And inbound sales is just an extension of that type of philosophy. It's a data-driven approach where you're being very respectful of the prospect. It's a customer or a prospect-centric approach where you're letting the prospect have control. Where you're understanding a little bit more about their individual needs, where you're identifying the right prospects, where you're connecting with them very effectively, and that you're behaving more like a consultant than you would typically be as a salesperson.
I see. For me, that sounds amazing. I really love it.
Over the last 30 years, probably the biggest change in the sales process has been what they call solution-oriented selling. And many people will show up to a demonstration and try to find some cursory needs. But in the inbound sales process, you're getting very, very specific. Oh, yeah. You're trying to understand where somebody is in the buying process. You're trying to tailor your approach to showing them information that would be helpful for them to solve their individual problems and move them from the awareness stage to the consideration stage. And then you want to make sure that you're not just pushing them into a purchasing decision, but you're starting to lay the foundation for the growth of an ongoing relationship.
Oh, yeah.
In the old days, 1980s, 1990s, right, it was buyer beware. The buyer was responsible for picking the right solution. Today, in the age of social media, and in the age when you have to be a little bit more selective in choosing your clients, you want to make sure it's a good fit. Because if it's not, it's likely the person will be very vocal about that particular experience.
Right point.
Therefore, that alignment is now the foundation or the impetus for the software company to make sure that it's a good fit, and that has a huge implication to the sales process. So, with hundreds of thousands of people practicing inbound marketing, it was now time for us to take that philosophy, that ethos, that process, and bring it over to sales as an extension of making sure you're doing the right things for the customer.
Oh, yeah. And you just published the new inbound sales certification.
That's right. So April 7th, worldwide, right, HubSpot started talking all the way from our CEO, Brian Halligan, talking about the concept of inbound sales. And over the last 9 years, people would always say, well, I get inbound marketing, but can we use the marketing software as kind of the CRM?
Yeah.
And you could, but in 2014, we announced a HubSpot CRM that was a foundation of inbound sales methodology. And then we announced a product called Sidekick, which is since been renamed HubSpot Sales and HubSpot Sales Professional. And then what we realized is that there were tons of well-meaning salespeople that wanted to greatly improve their skills. that wanted to engage with prospects in the way that prospects wanted to be engaged with. And so we published the inbound certification so that anybody who's interested in understanding the inbound sales methodology can then watch some videos. They can read a little bit more about it. They can take an exam or a certification class, and they can have tangible proof that they've moved from kind of a legacy kind of sales process to over to the 21st century.
Yeah, I really love the way how you educate people. That's really making a big change.
It is. It's part of the inbound phenomenon, right? In the old days, you engaged with a salesperson and they qualified, right? First of all, salespeople would call anybody. Right? And in today's world, you want to be a little bit more strategic in who you're talking to. Number two, in the old days, you would qualify people because you got so many leads. Today, at the front end of the funnel, the marketing organization should take care of leads in the awareness phase. And salespeople should only be talking with folks who are a little bit more further along in the process. Right? That's better for the salesperson. Right?
Absolutely.
You can have, the reason it's better for the company is you can have fewer salespeople. You can have them more focused on the right people, right? The salespeople have to be more of consultants rather than just showing and telling the same thing all the time. And then they need to be, kind of tailor their approach and focus in directly on what the customer needs. Right? And if the salesperson can build confidence and trust and can add value to the sales process, then it's going to be a very exciting start to the relationship. If the salesperson is just talking about the technology, you can essentially get that anywhere, right? That's just like you get it on a website. So it requires an additional level of sophistication and understanding that the customer is in control, right? So when I engage with prospects, I say, you are now in control. Right? You can move as quickly or as slowly as you like. And if you're just in awareness stage, let me know and we'll send you all this information for awareness. And then just ping me as we move forward. And then I'm happy to answer any questions that you have or share my experience with ways that you could be successful.
Yeah, sounds good. You already talked about it a little bit, but how would you wrap it up, like the main key differences between so-called legacy sales and inbound sales?
Yeah, so in the old days, you called everybody. Right? Today, you're pretty specific with the type of accounts you identify. In the old days, you did like a product demo, right? You'd qualify on the first call. Do you have budget? Right? We would never do that now, right? We need to understand a little bit more about the prospect to see if we can even help them or not.
Right.
We want to understand how sophisticated they are and if they've practiced this inbound marketing for a while or they're brand new to it or they're very, very experienced. We want to understand what their specific pain point is. So there's an exploratory call or a discovery call that is an interim step. And in the 1980s and 1990s, you did some solution-oriented selling, but it was mainly about determining if you were talking to the right person. And then the client would try to determine if their problem fit into your solution. Now, in the age of solution-oriented selling, and in the age of inbound sales, and in the age of software as a service, right? The ability for you to make sure that it's a good fit falls on the salesperson and the client who is engaging. It's also sometimes a shorter sales process. Sometimes it's a longer sales cycle. Sometimes people move from awareness to consideration back to awareness. Sometimes the timing isn't right. So we take a much longer term kind of view of beginning the relationship with the marketing organization and the extension through the sales. And then the goal is to create these long-term, really deep customer relationships that build world-class companies.
So we're giving more earlier for free.
Exactly. Right? That's the inbound marketing philosophy. It's also now the inbound sales philosophy.
Absolutely.
And customers really like that, right?
Oh, yeah.
They like their salespeople to be smart.
Oh, yeah.
They like their salespeople to be respectful. They like their salespeople to be knowledgeable. They like their salespeople to add value in the process by saying, this is the way I've done it previously, right? This is my recommendation of how you'd make the best selection. They like people who would recommend a competitor if they think that the competitor is a better option, right? I was in Boston 2 weeks ago and happened to sit with an owner of a refrigerator company. And we were having a conversation of inbound sales, and he said, oh, no. If somebody comes from a neighboring town and asks to buy a refrigerator from me, I send them back to my competitor in the neighboring town.
Really?
And I'm like, why would you do that? Doesn't that sound a little weird? He goes, no. They've already Googled it. They already know that the person is there. I actually build trust, and it's the best thing for the customer.
Wow.
That's what I said. I go, that is amazing. That is the foundation of inbound sales. What you're talking about is less regard for you and more regard for what's in the customer's best interest. He goes, Dan, it's going to work out that way anyway. And guess what? After you do that, then the guy in the neighboring town is sending people to me as well. Right?
Oh, yeah.
So this ushers in a new way of doing business, right? The inbound revolution started with inbound marketing, then moved to inbound sales, right? And for salespeople who want to learn inbound sales, you can go read the inbound methodology. You can take the certification classes, and it should make sense to you, right? Sometimes people will say it doesn't work that way in my industry, but more and more, right? We have irrefutable proof that that's inaccurate, right? And we ask people, well, how do you want to be sold to, right? And what do you want in a salesperson? And how would you like a salesperson to kind of connect with you? And in virtually every business, even the auto industry, they want smart people who know what they're talking about, that can add value to the process, who can end in the right result where you have a happy customer.
Oh, yeah. So we have already found out that it's better for the buyer and better for the seller.
It's more efficient for the salesperson. The introduction of technology, right, is really one of the greatest advantages of inbound selling. Right? For some reason, the sales process has lagged a little bit. There's been technology changes around sales rep productivity, but using technology as a way to get to that information more quickly, to understand exactly what a customer wants, to help them understand the range of options, and then to help tailor that approach is really kind of the next stage.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And I know you guys are on the forefront of that, and that's super exciting, and you'll see more of that, right? That's the wave of the future. You want to put more smarts into the sales process, less relationship and more quickly understanding what the prospect wants, quickly diagnosing exactly the best path, understanding where they are in the process, and salesperson being completely transparent and honest, saying, I don't think that this is a good fit, and making sure that the relationship is a healthy long-term relationship.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, Dan, really good points. Everything makes sense. How about these companies who have not yet implemented inbound sales? How to get started?
Yeah, so we see that a lot. The first thing I would tell people is to work closely with your marketing department. Schmarketing or sales and marketing alignment is critically important, right? If you're still stuck in the stovepipes where marketing is not talking with sales, then you're at a huge competitive advantage. And you and I know, in all of the meetings that we've been this week, lots of people desire that ability to work more closely together. We have tangible proof that if you do that, you get a better return.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And it kind of makes common sense, but two separate organizations that are so close to lead generation and then signing on customers that aren't working together is going to lead to problems. The challenge is lots of salespeople don't want to change. Or they don't realize it's in their best interest to change, right? And a lot of sales leaders, right, are just new to understanding inbound marketing. So it requires those leaders to understand that we're at a pivotal point, right? Sales will transform over the next decade. People will either be inbound salespeople and they'll aspire to this type of starting the relationship during the marketing and sales process, or they'll be left to suffer the consequences. Right. And I maintain that in 2016 and beyond, it is very, very difficult for anybody to harass or push or kind of force people to do things that they don't want. They just have access to all of the information and they just won't do business with you. They'll just go to the next person. And the pace of iteration, the pace of change and the similarities of different software gives people so many more choices than they ever had before. It's the greatest time ever to start a company. It's easy to start a company. It's harder to break through because there are so many companies and everybody's trying to differentiate themselves. You can definitely differentiate yourself in the selling process, right? You can definitely have people raise their hand and say, I enjoyed working with you in the sales process because I wasn't pushed. There wasn't an issue where people thought that I had to buy at a certain time. And so being completely transparent and telling people that from the first time that you engage, that you're in total control. You tell me what you want. I'm happy to work with you to the extent of the time that I can push in. Just let me know if you're not 30, 60, 90 days away so that I can set the right expectations and let's both be efficient. And I think people appreciate that freshness and approach.
It's like a wow experience.
Exactly. The first time that happens, you're like, I don't quite understand. Why are you doing that?
Yeah,
right?
There must be something.
There must be something. I would get that a lot. And you go, no. This is the way you do it in 2016.
Yeah.
We're all on the table. You tell me the way you want to go. I'll spend and give you all of the information that you need. I've got tons of resources that we built up over the last 9 years. We'll certify you for free. We'll spend time with you. We even tell them we don't really care if you buy or not. Mm-hmm. Right? And the reason is, over time, when you practice inbound sales, we have tangible proof. The growth of HubSpot from 0 to $100 million, right, in 7 years, one of the fastest growth rates.
It's amazing.
We know that process works and should continue to work as the company expands through 90 countries and throughout the world.
Oh, yeah. Hey, thank you very much.
All right.
Thanks for all the amazing...
no worries. Happy to do it. This is very, very exciting time, right? It's very exciting time for business owners because you have a competitive advantage of leaning in and implementing inbound sales. It's very exciting for salespeople because if you embrace the proper technology and the proper inbound processes, you can continue to be a high producer, a top 2%. It's also a lot easier, right? If you're getting inbound leads, right, and you're talking with people who want to talk with you, and you're not getting that stressful kind of push. It requires a few differences. I think you have to manage a little bit larger pipe. You have to, a pipeline, you have to have a few more people in your funnel. You have to take the long view, right? Even if you're behind in your quota, you can't push people to the end of the month or the end of the quarter if they're not ready to go, right? Because it sullies the relationship. But with those minor changes, I think that there are a huge advantage. And then if you're a customer, right, it's the kind of sales process that everybody wants. Where
Absolutely.
You got a knowledgeable person who's willing to help you that will serve as a consultant for the basis of the relationship.
Absolutely. Hey, if there's people who want to get certified.
Yes.
Inbound sales. How?
So HubSpot offers an inbound sales certification. It's 5 hours of videos, and then you take a certification afterwards. You put it right on your LinkedIn. And I'm very grateful and excited to be part of that process. Mark Roberge, Pete Caputa, Jill Fradiani, Lindsay Thibault, like super people who have been doing this. Andrew Quinn, can't forget Andrew Quinn, who've been vested in inbound selling for a long time. And we teach people how to do it. It's intuitive to most intelligent salespeople, right? Solution-oriented selling has always been about helping. This just gives some vocabulary and some process around that so that it's easier to do and easier to do at scale.
Oh, yeah. So, thank you very much, Dan Tyre.
Boom! Thank you very much.
Thank you.